The world of hip-hop shaken by the shooting death of yet another rapper.
Rapper Takeoff.
Takeoff
has been shot and killed in Houston.
Police arresting 33-year-old Patrick Clark for murder.
He was seen on camera firing a gun with one hand while holding a wine bottle with the other.
Can you believe that it's been almost a year since Takeoff was killed? It was official. He would no longer be getting any music from the rap legend. All people could do was begin investigating the last moments of his life to understand what happened. A month later, Takeoff's killer was arrested. He was brought before the court of law to answer for what many in the hip-hop community consider a mortal sin. But to understand what happened to Patrick Clark and why this seemingly unknown man was the perpetrator of such a high-profile killing, we need to go through exactly what happened that night and the 8 months that have followed since. Takeoff's death. The rapper passed away unexpectedly in Houston on November 1st, 2022, after being shot twice, including a fatal headshot. The shooting happened at a private party attended by around 40 to 50 people. Takeoff was just 28 years old at the time of his death, which left many people curious about the cause and who might be responsible. The main suspect in the murder turned out to be a man named Patrick Clark. According to Houston Police Chief Troy Finner, the Houston Police Department and the Houston Fire Department arrived at 810 Billiards and Bowling around 2:40 a.m. in response to the shooting.
We understand and we know it. This morning at about approximately 2:34 a.m., officers received a call of a shooting in progress. Officers arrived there shortly thereafter. The location is a downtown location.
When the officers arrived, they found a big crowd, and one of the people in the crowd was Takeoff, whose real name was Kersnick Kari Ball.
Once officers arrived, they came upon a male who was deceased. That male has been identified as Kersnick Ball, better known as Takeoff.
They discovered him on the 3rd floor, and the medical examiner's report later revealed that he had been shot in the head and torso, with the bullets also hitting his arm.
An autopsy reveals he died from gunshot wounds to the head and torso into his arm.
Sadly, Takeoff was pronounced dead at the scene. The news of Takeoff's death spread quickly, prompting an outpouring of grief from his friends, family, and the hip-hop community. Prominent figures took to Twitter to express their deep sorrow and sadness about the tragic incident. Ja Rule, a well-known rapper, tweeted a heartfelt message calling for an end to such tragedies and sending his love to the family and friends of the deceased. Young Miami, another rapper, expressed shock and grief with 3 broken heart emojis. Lecrae, a fellow rapper, kept his message simple, stating that he was saddened by the loss of another rapper, emphasizing the importance of support during this difficult time. Killer Mike, who is not only a rapper but also an actor and activist, prayed for the well-being of the deceased rapper's family and all those affected by the violence while expressing a desire to end the conflicts plaguing our society. Drew Finling, a lawyer for Takeoff and a close friend to many rap stars, referred to Takeoff's death as a really sad loss, especially for Atlanta. Finling mentioned that when you are in Takeoff's presence, there is a calmness and tranquility surrounding him. He is known for listening attentively and being more interested in what others have to say rather than focusing on himself. According to him, the world was just starting to discover Takeoff's talents. It was his moment to truly shine. Despite the stereotypes often associated with the genre, Takeoff was remembered as a peaceful and talented artist, admired by many. The chief of police, acknowledging the great talent and potential within the hip-hop community, called for unity and self-policing to protect the industry from any negative influences.
Everyone spoke of what a great young man this is, how peaceful he is, what a great artist. And I'm calling up on everybody. We gotta police ourselves.
Troy Finner said about 40 people were there when the shooting happened. The party had officially ended at 1 a.m., but some people were still there when the fight that led to the shooting occurred. According to several people who were present and law enforcement officials, Takeoff and his uncle, Quavo, were engaged in a game of dice. In a recording released by TMZ, it can be heard that 5 gunshots were fired during the incident. In one video from a 911 call after the shooting, Quavo can be heard asking what actions should be taken. A woman at the scene identified herself as a nurse and offered her assistance to Takeoff.
You can hear my voice in the video. I'm a nurse. No, I'm a nurse.
During a press conference, the authorities said that the security guards at the event heard gunshots, but couldn't figure out who fired the shots. There's a video that circulated on social media. In the video, Quavo can be seen trying to help his injured nephew. He carefully puts him down and quickly asks for help. It was also revealed that 2 more people, a 24-year-old woman and a 23-year-old man, got hurt, but their injuries were not life-threatening. They were taken to nearby hospitals in private vehicles. There are stories from people on social media who claim to have seen what happened. They indicated that Takeoff was shot during a disagreement that arose during dice game. However, the investigations conducted by the detectives from the Houston Police Department revealed that the rapper was not the intended victim. Instead, he was accidentally shot. The record label of the rapper, Quality Control, also verified through an Instagram post that he was fatally injured by a stray bullet. Investigators discovered empty bullet casings outside a bowling and pool hall on the 3rd floor. They also checked security camera footage from nearby areas and asked for help from any witnesses who might have left the place after the incident. At the press conference, Chief Finner offered his sympathy and backing to Takeoff's mother, who had come to Houston after the troubling event.
I spoke to this young man's mother just an hour ago. Flew in here from out of town. I want everybody to understand the pain, the suffering of a mother. Very tough.
Before Patrick Clark was pinpointed as the suspect, Finner asked the community to come forward with any helpful information to bring comfort to the grieving family. The chief also encouraged the hip-hop community in Houston and beyond to take responsibility for their actions and behavior. Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner, in agreement with Chief Finner, urged anyone who knows anything about the person or people responsible for the shooting to come forward. They want to make sure Takeoff's family gets justice. The mayor also reminded everyone that losing a life is a big tragedy, no matter if the person is famous or not. For those of us who are unfamiliar with the victim, let's learn a few things about his life. Takeoff was born in Lawrenceville, Georgia in 1994. He started his musical journey in 2008 alongside his uncle Quavo and cousin Offset. Together, they formed the group Migos. Their breakthrough came in 2013 with the release of their single, Versace. However, it was their 2016 hit, Bad and Bougie, that truly skyrocketed their success. This song became a cultural sensation, inspiring numerous memes and gaining widespread attention. The popularity of the 2016 single reached new heights when Donald Glover, renowned for his role in the TV show Atlanta, mentioned it in his acceptance speech at the 2017 Golden Globes. He thanked Migos for creating such an incredible song, stating it was the best track ever.
And I really want to thank the Migos, not for being in the show, but for making Bad and Bougie. Like, that's the best song ever.
In May 2022, there were rumors that Migos had separated because Offset was not included in their latest album, Only Built for Infinity Links. People speculated even more when the group canceled their performance at the Governor's Ball Music Festival in June 2022. The speculation was confirmed when Offset and his wife, Cardi B, stopped following Quavo and Takeoff on social media. Quavo talked about the situation on the Big Facts podcast in October, saying they now see themselves as a duo.
I just feel like we want to see our career as a duo, you know what I'm saying?
He mentioned coming from a loyal family where working together and sticking together is important, but sometimes things don't work out. They believe in loyalty.
You know, we just came from a loyal family, you know what I'm saying? They're supposed to stick together. And, you know, sometimes it don't work out. It ain't meant to be.
Even though it may not always be evident. He said they will continue as a duo until time tells what the future holds. In what was his last interview, shortly before he passed away, Takeoff discussed his career and their latest album. The host, Noor, praised the album as their opportunity to prove themselves and asked if Takeoff felt it was the right time. Takeoff responded by saying that he believed it was the right time. He said he is laid back and calm, but it's not about that anymore. He wants to be recognized and appreciated while he is still alive.
Oh, for sure. Okay. You know what I mean? Enough is enough. You know, I'm chill, you know what I'm saying, laid back, but it's time to pop it, you know what I mean? Time to give me my flowers, you know what I mean? I don't want them later on when I ain't here.
Despite Takeoff deserving recognition and accolades, Clark Patrick's actions prevented him from being alive to receive the flowers he earned. Patrick Clark and mob ties. Patrick Xavier Clark, also known as DJ Pat, was a popular figure in the Houston club scene. He gained fame through his role as a promoter for the Flame HTX, a popular strip club. Patrick Clark frequently advertised the club on his Instagram account. In an interview, fellow rapper G Molly shared that he believed Clark was not a violent person. He also mentioned that Takeoff would still be breathing if Clark had not been carrying a firearm on the night of his death. During the interview, Jamali was completely surprised by Clark's unexpected behavior. He mentioned that it was quite out of character for Clark, who is typically known for focusing on work rather than showing aggression. Jamali even compared Clark to Takeoff, emphasizing that they both share a quiet and business-like approach. Clark's social media post did not indicate his possibly having a part in the killing. On the day the shooting took place, he sent out a tweet saying, "Meet me at the club." He continued to use his social media as usual after Takeoff's death. On November 2nd, he tweeted about believing God is always there for him. On November 8th, he expressed that he had been hurt multiple times, making it difficult to experience love. The following day, he acknowledged that while he may not be perfect, he remains strong. According to Clark's acquaintances, they believed that he was being unfairly accused of the murder. One friend who knew Clark from the strip club expressed doubt in his guilt by stating, "I know him. He's not like that. I honestly feel like they got the wrong guy." The friend further described Clark as someone who remains calm and friendly, adding, "He doesn't get mad or hostile. He's very nice and thoughtful." They firmly believed that Clark was being set up, stating, "That's all I have to say. I feel he is being framed." The friend, who preferred to remain anonymous, also emphasized that Clark would never resort to shooting someone because he wouldn't want to risk losing all the hard work he had put into his life. Clark's family did not respond to messages. However, one family member did mention that Clark is well behaved without providing any further comment. The comments from his friends and family would suggest Takeoff's death was an accident, just like his label claimed he was hit by a stray bullet. But a lot of talk started to surface online about the possibility that the Mob Ties family had something to do with Takeoff's death. The reason for this speculation can be found in their actions on the day Takeoff died. So let's break it down and understand the connection between Mob Ties, Patrick Clark, and the Migos. Mob Ties is a streetwear brand based in Houston, created by J. Prince Jr., who is also the CEO. J. Prince Jr.'s father, James Prince, is a music mogul who started Rap-A-Lot Records in the 1980s. On the evening of the incident, Quavo and Takeoff were present at the birthday celebration of J. Prince Jr.'s sibling, Jazz Prince. J. Prince Jr. himself was also in attendance at the event. It is worth mentioning that Mob Ties, apart from being a clothing brand, is known for providing protection to hip-hop artists who visit Houston. However, there have been numerous allegations that artists feel compelled to associate with Mob Ties. These visiting artists are advised to establish contact with Mob Ties to ensure their well-being during their stay. Several reports indicate that Patrick Clark is affiliated with Mob Ties. Evidence shows he has been captured in photographs wearing Mob Ties merchandise, such as hooded sweatshirts. He has also been seen alongside both J. Prince Sr. and J. Prince Jr. Additionally, J. Prince Jr. has been spotted at the nightclub where Clark serves as a promoter. Furthermore, he even follows Patrick on Instagram. On the day of the incident, there was a rumored dispute between individuals connected to Mob Ties and Quavo just before the shooting occurred. One of the individuals who confronted Quavo was Clark's brother, suggesting he may have also been associated with Mob Ties. Why were people connected to Mob Ties arguing with the rap artist they should protect? Considering that the Migos were guests of the Prince family, it seems odd that Mob Ties affiliates would engage in a dispute with Quavo during a game of dice. The situation becomes even more confusing when we learn that another rapper, Duke the Jeweler, was tragically killed in Houston. Eyewitnesses claim that two men approached Duke in a black GMC truck, shot him, and fled with his possessions. The rapper was hanging out with J. Prince Jr., and he had won $100,000 in a game. It's weird that he was killed in a way that reminds people of Takeoff's death. Both rappers died in Houston, where Mob Ties was supposed to protect them, and J. Prince Jr. was there too. Fans were starting to make connections between the dice game and J. Prince Jr.'s presence. They also criticized him for leaving the scene while Quavo pleaded for assistance. The incident was recorded and quickly spread online, and many saw J. Prince walking past Takeoff's lifeless body. J. Prince had to go on podcasts to defend his son's reputation. He appeared on the Giving Them the Business podcast and shared that the viral video of his son walking past Takeoff was just a brief view of the situation. He explained that his son was with Takeoff the entire time and had gone to the restroom to clean his hands, which were covered in blood. This was weeks after he expressed his feelings on Instagram, saying, "The Prince family would like to send our condolences to the family and friends of a beautiful soul. To Houstonians and families around the world, this one breaks my heart because Takeoff was a brother, a son, a role model, and a God-loving human being. Grief is the price of love, a bill people from across the globe are paying right now as we mourn this loss. I've been knowing Takeoff, Quavo, and Offset for many years, and there has been nothing but mutual love for one another, and that isn't going to ever change where we are concerned. This shouldn't have happened. This shouldn't have ever happened in our city. This shouldn't have been recorded, and this damn sure shouldn't be circulating across social media for family, friends, and fans to see. As I write this, I'm angry about the lack of love and respect we have for one another as a race which keeps bringing us back to the same tragic place of black-on-black killing." Jazz also went on Instagram to express his sympathies with everyone. He mentioned that he never likes hearing about things like this happening, especially in his city and to his family. When he received a call about this, he couldn't believe it. He stated that he stands by his brother Quavo and sends prayers to everyone who is hurting. As the pressure intensified on the Prince family, J. Prince took to popular podcasts to defend the family's reputation. Surprisingly, he shifted his approach and began accusing Offset, even though Offset was absent during Takeoff's passing.
You know, one can dance and different things in front of these different cameras and all that kind of shit. And when reality the truth of the matter is, you know, you wasn't really right there with Takeoff when he was alive.
This sudden change sparked an online exchange between Jay Prince and Offset, with Jay Prince going so far as to issue a threat. Speculation continues to grow about Mob Ty's involvement in Takeoff's death. Attempt to escape and prosecution. On December 1st, 2023, Patrick Xavier Clark was arrested by the police, and this arrest was confirmed by the police chief the following day in a press conference.
So, yesterday evening, we arrested Patrick Xavier Brown, 33 years old. He was charged with the murder of Takeoff.
Police Sergeant Michael Burrow revealed the details of their investigations during a news conference. He said the gunfire occurred following a disagreement over a highly profitable game of dice. However, it was confirmed that Takeoff was not involved and was merely an unsuspecting bystander.
The event was a private party. There was a lucrative dice game that went on at the event. There was an argument that happened afterwards outside the bowling alley, which led to the shooting. I can tell you that Takeoff was not involved in playing in the dice game. He was not involved in the argument that happened outside. He was not armed.
Police Chief Finner mentioned that it is still unclear whether Clark was invited to the party or if he had any knowledge of Takeoff's presence. Burrow stated that everyone at the scene chose not to speak with the police and left. However, authorities have managed to locate some of these individuals and have been utilizing ballistics, video footage, and audio recordings to piece together the sequence of events. According to court records, Clark was taken into custody while preparing to depart for Mexico. Following the shooting incident involving Takeoff, Clark applied for an expedited passport, claiming he had imminent travel plans to Mexico. Law enforcement officials informed that he was apprehended on the very day he obtained the passport and was found with a significant sum of money. In an attempt to prevent Clark from fleeing, prosecutors requested a bond of $1 million, asserting that he posed a risk of escaping. However, he was ultimately imprisoned with a bond amounting to $2 million. During the hearing, Clark's lawyers attempted to reduce his bond from $2 million to $100,000. However, State District Judge Josh Hill hesitated to do so due to concerns that Clark might attempt to leave, given the evidence of his online activities. During the hearing, Houston Police Sergeant Michael Burrow stated that they examined Clark's cell phone after his arrest and discovered searches for counterfeit plane tickets. Prosecutors suggested that these searches were linked to Clark's efforts to acquire an expedited passport. Additionally, investigators found several searches on his phone related to news articles about the shooting and whether he was considered a suspect. Based on this evidence, Sergeant Burrow expressed his belief that Clark intended to flee the country. According to Burrow, a surveillance video revealed that Clark was holding a wine bottle in one hand while he fired his gun. He left the bottle close to where the shooting occurred, and his fingerprints were discovered on it, which helped identify him. Additionally, FBI sources implicated Clark's involvement in the shooting. In contrast, Quinones, one of Clark's attorneys, claimed that Clark had no intentions of leaving the country after the incident. Quinones stated that Clark had canceled a trip to Mexico that had been previously planned, and on the day of his arrest, he was searching for an apartment to rent in the city. She is also confident that Clark will have a credible and strong case for self-defense at the appropriate time.
He will have a valid and meritorious claim for self-defense.
Quinones refrained from elaborating further to journalists, but indicated during the hearing that Clark fired his weapon only in response to being shot at first. Authorities, however, assert that Clark was the one who initiated the shooting. Hill stated that Clark's bond could be reduced to $1 million if certain security conditions were met. Furthermore, Hill expressed openness to considering further details provided by Clark's legal team regarding the possibility of lowering it even more, potentially to $300,000. Quinones expressed her hope that Hill would adhere to the request of reducing the bond to $300,000, as anything higher would be beyond the means of Clark's family. In his testimony, Clark's father, Joseph, revealed that his son works as a DJ and promotes nightclubs, but he has always struggled financially. In fact, Clark still resides at home and relies on borrowing his truck for transportation, making it unrealistic for him to have the resources needed to escape to another country. Hill later denied the attempts of Clark's legal team to reduce his bond to $300,000 and set it at $1 million. Prosecutors presented a tape of a phone conversation made by Clark while he was in jail, during which he mentioned that the $2 million bond could be paid immediately. The prosecution implied that Clark may have had access to substantial amounts of money through his DJ work and involvement with nightclubs. However, Quinones dismissed Clark's statement as mere arrogant talk from a young man who tends to speak excessively. According to a court document, Clark was released from jail on January 4th, 2023 after posting a bond. The conditions of his bond include wearing a GPS monitor and surrendering his passport. This This is where things get interesting. Despite claiming to be financially struggling, Clark managed to gather the funds to post his $1 million bond and secure his release from jail. This raised questions about how he was able to come up with such a substantial amount of money. He had said he was poor, even requested $5,000 from the judge to hire a detective, and mentioned that his family had used up all their money to pay for his lawyer. It should also be noted that Clark had previously worked as a promoter for a strip club, and his financial situation didn't seem to match up with the ability to pay the bond. Many people began to suspect that J. Prince Jr. may have played a part in providing the funds for Clark's bond. This is exactly what led people to suspect that J. Prince Jr. family may have had a role in Takeoff's death. According to a statement from his lawyers, neither Clark nor his family paid the bond in this case. Instead, a concerned citizen and family friend who believed in Clark's innocence provided the bond on his behalf. This raises questions about whether Clark's possible ties to the mob played a role in his release from jail. It's natural to wonder why this individual or family would assist someone accused of killing Takeoff, and it leads to speculation about whether Clark might have incriminating information about them, influencing their decision to help financially. On the other hand, there's also the possibility that the Prince family, who offered the bond, might be trying to hide their involvement in the situation. This raises more unanswered questions and fuels speculation about their connection to Takeoff's death. It's uncertain whether their assistance to Clark is genuinely driven by a concern for justice in Takeoff's case. On May 25, 2023, Clark was formally charged by a Harris County grand jury.
Patrick Clark, the man accused of killing Migos rapper Takeoff, has been indicted by a Harris County grand jury on murder charges.
His attorney, Letitia Quinones Hollins, clarified that being indicted is based on a minimum standard of proof. She expressed her confidence that during the trial, where the standard of proof is guilt beyond reasonable doubt, the jury will likely find Clark not guilty. Clark's arraignment is set for August 23rd, which is his next court appearance. His life behind bars. Clark could potentially face a long time in prison if he is proven to be guilty of committing the murder of Takeoff. However, that will be the least of his worries, as he may also have to handle being attacked by other inmates. This is particularly worrisome because these inmates might happen to be fans of the famous rap group Migos. It is common for individuals who have killed rappers to be attacked by their fellow prisoners. An excellent example is that of Eric Holder Jr.
Rapper Nipsey Hussle's alleged killer was attacked on his way to court. Eric Holder's attorney tells TMZ that he was attacked by two people while in a holding cell.
Holder is the man who shot and killed Nipsey Hussle in 2019 and has become a hated figure in the years following his terrible actions. He learned immediately after his sentencing that gang members will continue to target him while he serves his prison sentence as a form of revenge for the rapper's death. A video showing a threat became very popular online. Initially, people believed the judge overseeing the case had issued the warning. However, it was Holder Jr.'s lawyer who requested protective custody for his client. The reason behind this request was the expected violence, especially since Holder Jr. had already been attacked in prison back in June 2022. Aaron Jansen, the lawyer representing Holder in the Nipsey Hussle case, reported that on Monday, June 27, the 32-year-old experienced a violent incident in jail. As a result of the injuries sustained during this assault, Holder was physically unable to attend his subsequent trial date, leading to the need for rescheduling. Jansen provided more details about the seriousness of the attack, explaining that Holder required medical treatment for his injuries. The public defender revealed to Rolling Stone that two inmates assaulted Holder. They beat him and cut the back of his head with a razor, which needed 3 staples to close the wound. As a result of the attack, Holder's face and eyes also became swollen. Another incident that might frighten Patrick Clark is the case of Justin Johnson. In December 2022, Justin Johnson, who was suspected of being involved in the murder of famous rapper Young Dolph, experienced an assault while he was in prison. According to the Shelby County Sheriff's Office, Johnson was unexpectedly punched by another prisoner while making a phone call. Per some prisoner guides, he should anticipate getting up at 6 a.m. each morning and tidying his cell by mopping the floors and removing the garbage, or else face disciplinary action. The bed he will use is likely to be a slab attached to the wall, with the only furniture available being a stainless steel toilet. The state of rapper Takeoff is another instance of what Clark will likely go through, particularly if he engages in physical conflict with fellow prisoners. Takeoff is presently under close observation, spending most of his day in isolated detention and only having 1 hour available to utilize the gym. Suge Knight, currently serving a 28-year prison sentence for causing someone's death, has shared his experiences in prison, which have all been negative. The former leader of Death Row Records expressed dissatisfaction with the unacceptable conditions, particularly mentioning the poor food quality. The confined rooms are extremely cold and not kept clean. Moreover, there is a significant presence of undesirable creatures like rats and roaches, which can even come into contact with the inmates while they rest in bed at night. In addition to facing physical altercations, Clark may also encounter significant psychological challenges if convicted. Incarceration can be particularly harmful to mental well-being and can worsen any existing mental health problem. For Clark, the thought of being confined in prison may have various adverse effects on his mental health. Being separated from family and loved ones is another common result of being imprisoned. This can lead to strong feelings of depression, anxiety, and isolation. In Clark's case, since he is suspected of being Takeoff's killer, he might lose contact with the support he had from people outside of prison, making his emotional distress even worse. Furthermore, life inside prisons and jails can be tough and draining. The loss of freedom and purpose, along with the repetitive and sometimes violent conditions, can make a person feel powerless and without hope. The stressful and unpredictable environment in prison can add to anxiety and depression, making it challenging for Clark to maintain his mental well-being during his time in incarceration. If Clark is put into solitary confinement, a common practice in jails, it could seriously harm his mental health. Studies have shown that solitary confinement can cause permanent changes in the brain and personality, and being isolated for a long time can lead to psychiatric disorders. After being formally indicted by the Texas grand jury over Takeoff's murder, it's only a matter of time before Clark finally learns if he gets to live out all the horrors of his life behind bars for real. If you enjoyed this video, click on the card showing on your screen right now for more videos exposing heinous crimes.